Polybius, what is possibly the most significant urban legend of the internet, with rumors spanning over a decade. Rumors that there had been top secret psychological experiments. Rumors people had died from this game, and the idea that it was all just a hoax. This had allegedly started in 1981 at a small arcade in Portland, Oregon. It was there you could find the arcade cabinet, or as so many people have thought. An extensive line leading to the wall at the back of the arcade. This can mean only one thing: Polybius, or a whole host of other games from that era. Though not being a very well-known game, it sure did have quite the player base, at least in the arcades it appeared in. There were even times when fights broke out over playing this game. Truly, people were addicted. After some kids had finished playing the game, they started to allegedly have motion sickness, nightmares, amnesia, vertigo, insomnia, and like any good conspiracy theory, suicidal thoughts and actual deaths. Sometime during closing hours, mysterious men dressed in black came to the arcade to collect what is assumed to be psychoactive testing information. Whether they forced the owner to allow them entrance to the arcade or not is unknown. Okay, so who made the game? Sinislosion. They're the company behind Polybius. The company that has no prior experience in creating video games managed to create a game with graphical superiority over all other arcade games at the time. Graphics that can entrance a player in the game for indiscernible amounts of time. Technology so advanced that 38 years later, we still cannot produce something that even resembles it. Some of the rumors from Polybius range from people just dying while playing the game, to the game entrancing the user, or even mind control. Oh, and speaking of mind control, Project MK Ultra, spanning from 1953 to 1973. Even though Polybius doesn't quite fit within this time period, I felt like it would still be a good idea to cover it anyways. MK Ultra happens to be one of those government conspiracy theories. The only difference is the fact that this was something that actually happened. MK Ultra had been set up as a countermeasure against Russian and Chinese experiments on mind control. The United States had an approach to mind control that involved drugs and hypnotism, which involved LSD, which happens to be a drug itself. The type of drug that would manipulate you both emotionally and visibly. The doctors slash probable Nazis slash psychos who worked on the project had normally put their victims under medically induced comas lasting up to a maximum of 3 months with a low point of a few weeks. These comas would include having to constantly listen to speakers on a loop with no end in sight, with the same message telling them to do a certain thing or act a certain way, which sent most of them insane. Like any secret project, MK Ultra would have witnesses. One witness in particular, Frank Olson, a biochemist and former personnel of MK Ultra, had been staying in a New York hotel when he decided it was LSD time and jumped out of a 13-story window. All the while, a CI member had been assigned to monitor him from just the other room, or at least, that's what the government wants you to think. Some later studies show another side of the story, like in 1994 when they checked his body and head for injuries and found out that Olson's cranium had suffered damage before falling out of the window, implying that he'd been knocked unconscious. I mean, if I were the CIA, I wouldn't want any loose ends running around either. On the 6th of February, year 2000, an entry had been made on coinop.org about an arcade game that nobody had yet heard of, an addictive one at that. The coinop entry had only been able to provide some of the more key elements of Polybius, that being the CIA, night terrors, the strange gameplay, and the men in black coats who came to the arcade. There had been a statement in 2009 that someone was going to be flying out to Kiev, Ukraine the next day. That same day was the last time the coinop entry would be edited. Though before these people allegedly went missing, CoinOp mentions a guy named Stephen Roach. After doing some research on him, I was able to find a story he had come up with about Polybius. The story goes something like this. Steven and his friends help a company create an arcade game that utilizes new technology to deliver a stunning experience. Though in the process they managed to create one of the most addictive games ever created. The game is soon released in a few select arcades in Portland, Oregon, proving to be quite the success. Almost too successful. Only 6 days after the game has made its way into the arcades, it causes a 13-year-old boy to collapse in an epileptic fit. Soon after, the plug is pulled from the POLYBIUS project. Stephen Roach would eventually be debunked, though he did do a good job at fooling people. I'm really just glad we have one less Roach to deal with. This game has been here fooling the masses for 19 years and likely will for years to come, despite it being debunked by websites and YouTube channels alike, finding the flaws left by the creators of the myth and putting what information they had to good use in a final goal of ending an urban legend that is long due for retirement. An urban legend that is 19 years in the making.